Attorney Jeremy Hogan has hinted that the SEC and Ripple appeals could wrap up in just days. Yes, days, not months. Exciting, right? But let's be real, we're all feeling the same thing here. I miss those regular updates from Jeremy Hogan. For those who are new, let me fill you in. For years, Hogan was the go-to source for SEC v Ripple insights. His updates weren't just informative, they were lifelines for XRP holders.
Tired of fake gurus who claim to be expert traders but never trade live? I trade live on the second largest crypto exchange, where everything is transparent and results can't be faked. For over 440 days, I've consistently closed every month in profit. In the last 90 days alone, my followers have seen over 70% profit with only 4% drawdown. Verified results, not empty claims. Want to see my verified stats? Click the first link in my profile and start copying my trades for free today.
Why? Because the stakes were massive. One bad ruling from Judge Torres could have derailed everything. For XRP holders, especially in the US, the situation was grim. The risks were real. Losing everything wasn't just a fear, it was a possibility. Yet, through it all, Hogan was there, guiding us with clarity and expertise. His updates made the chaos bearable, giving us hope when we needed it most. One of the toughest parts of the SEC v Ripple lawsuit for everyday folks like me was the complete lack of clarity. Especially in those early days after the SEC filed against Ripple, the uncertainty was overwhelming. What did it all mean? Did we even stand a chance? That lack of knowledge was downright terrifying. We had no clear way to gain a reasonable perspective, no reliable voices to guide us. Then along came attorney John Deaton and attorney Jeremy Hogan, and let me tell you, they were like lifelines. Their insights were a gift, a source of calm for so many during chaotic times. It's bittersweet that attorney Hogan decided to step back from his YouTube career. While I miss his regular updates, I'm glad he still shares his thoughts occasionally on X. Whenever he does, I'm more than happy to pass those insights along to you. That's exactly what this video is about, sharing his perspective. Let me dive into exactly what his perspective is on this topic. But before we go further, I want to be upfront. I don't have a financial background. This isn't financial advice. So please don't make any buying or selling decisions based on what I say or write. I'm just a crypto enthusiast who loves making YouTube videos about this stuff purely as a hobby. It's all for fun. Now, before we jump into what attorney Hogan has to say and why it's so important, there's one key piece of context you need to know first. It's right here on your screen. I've already covered this in a few videos, so I'll breeze through it super quickly, no commentary, then we'll get straight to the good stuff. This update comes from Fox Business journalist Eleanor Tarrant, who shared it just 2 days ago. She wrote, "Scoop, two well-placed sources tell me that the SEC v Ripple case is in the final stages and could be wrapping up soon. The delay in reaching an agreement seems tied to Ripple's legal team pushing for better terms after the August District Court ruling. That ruling hit Ripple with a hefty $125 million fine and slapped on a permanent injunction banning XRP sales to institutional investors. But here's the twist. With the SEC's new leadership apparently wiping the slate clean for targeted crypto firms in hopes of achieving regulatory clarity, why should Ripple still face penalties? The unspoken argument is clear. If the SEC itself isn't sure any wrongdoing occurred, why should Ripple accept the ruling as is, effectively admitting guilt? Agreeing to those terms feels like Ripple is being punished for playing a game where the rules weren't even clear. This whole situation is unprecedented. There's no playbook for it. So it's no wonder this case is dragging on longer than others. But hold tight, there's more to unpack. And that brings us to why attorney Hogan decided to share his thoughts in the first place. What you're about to see is the post he shared, broken down for you in a full thread. Let's dive in and take a closer look, because this is where things start to get really interesting. He shared a repost from Fox Business Journal's Eleanor Tarrant and added this intriguing note. Something in Eleanor's update grabbed my attention. Specifically, she mentioned, cases in the process of wrapping up and could be over soon. Now let's unpack that. The case wrapping up quickly would likely require Ripple and the SEC to strike a private settlement. This could bypass the appeals process entirely, agree to terms, dismiss the appeal, and never bring the settlement back to the trial court for ratification. Is it possible? Sure, but if the rumored sticking point is the injunction, then the SEC would essentially need to agree not to enforce it. Quick refresher, the injunction in question relates to Ripple's institutional sales, which Judge Torres ruled in favor of the SEC. If that's the roadblock, a settlement could get complicated. The big news for us? Ripple's programmatic sales of XRP were officially ruled not to be illegal securities transactions. That's a clear win for XRP holders. But if you're Ripple, the situation is a bit more complicated. Sure, as attorney Hogan has pointed out, there are workarounds, but let's be honest. Nobody's thrilled about the injunction. Imagine having to get creative with cross-border transactions, resorting to stablecoins as a bridge currency instead of XRP. It's not ideal, and Ripple knows it. So what's next? Could there be a way to negotiate, make that injunction disappear, or even reduce the penalties? According to attorney Hogan, the door is open for possibilities, and Ripple might just find a path forward. If the injunction is the key issue, the SEC would need to agree not to enforce it. That feels like a long shot, but maybe there's room for a workaround, like offering Ripple a way to officially register XRP sales to institutional investors. In this scenario, Ripple gets what it needs, and the SEC avoids outright defying the court's order. It's a delicate balance, but it could work. Now imagine this. Under new leadership, Trump steps in and declares the war on crypto officially over. Every government branch within his influence would align to make that a reality. No more battles, no more uncertainty. The new normal would be a crypto-friendly landscape. We'd all love to see the SEC walk back some of its more aggressive stances, paving the way for real progress. Of course, we'd absolutely love that. Attorney Hogan might be right that it's not the most likely scenario, but what if, just what if, those frustrating attorneys, instead of being total obstacles, actually paved a way forward? Imagine if, under new leadership or a fresh directive, they offered a clear path to just register these kinds of transactions. Now, wouldn't Ripple jump at that? Picture Ripple agreeing, especially if it came with reduced or even eliminated penalties. That would be a dream outcome. You can see why this is taking longer. There's so much happening behind the scenes. Attorney Hogan points out that this specific scenario is really the only way he sees the case wrapping up anytime soon, maybe in the next few days or weeks. And that lines up with what's being reported. So, a settlement agreement? It's on the table. Honestly, I wasn't surprised to hear Hogan mention, toward the end of his thoughts, that an actual settlement could very well happen in the coming days or weeks. He's not exactly promising it or saying it's the most likely outcome, but he's incredibly level-headed, as you know, and always rational about these things. He's not the type to just tell us what we want to hear. He'll share the hard truths, even when they're a bit unsettling. That's what he's done over the years, pointing out the scenarios that might make us pause. So, when he says it's technically possible, that definitely catches my attention. Like, what if one morning we wake up and see the news? Could be today, could be tomorrow, who knows? I'm not claiming to know the odds here, just saying it's fascinating to think about. Anyway, back to attorney Hogan. He dives in, asking why not simply request the appellate court to approve the judgment. Turns out, appellate courts don't have jurisdiction to enforce or impose judgments. Sure, in rare cases, they might endorse a settlement in multi-district litigation, but even then, the case goes back to the trial court. Essentially, the appellate court just gives a subtle nod saying, "This works for us," and leaves the rest to the trial court. If the parties strike a simple settlement agreement without having it ratified by the trial court, we'll likely never know the details. It stays under wraps. Remember back in the mid-2000s when Taco Bell got sued over their Chihuahua ads and lost. During the appeal, the parties quietly settled and dismissed the case. Word got out later that they settled for about half the judgment amount. So yes, things like this do happen. Which brings us to the real question. Is there a chance? What's that line from Dumb and Dumber? So you're telling me there's a chance. Iconic. That gif, though. Absolute perfection. It's the gift that keeps on giving in every internet argument. Honestly, that gif alone justifies the existence of the entire movie. We can all agree on that, right? Obviously. We're not fools. Attorney Hogan chimes in, emphasizing a key point. A settlement agreement keeps everything firmly in the hands of the parties involved. That's what every mediator will remind you, over and over, throughout mediation, he states. Meanwhile, trying to bring the judgment back to the trial court, that's a gamble. Judges can simply say no, as seen in the SEC v. Penn case, where a motion to amend the judgment was flat out denied. Hogan briefly shares a screen grab of the case details, inviting viewers to pause if they want to dive deeper. I won't go through it here. It's not essential for this video, but it's a solid overview of the law in this area, he adds. Still, despite the risks, Hogan concludes, I believe returning to the trial court remains the best course of action. First, the judge could agree to amend the judgment. Take the 2010 SEC versus Bank of America case. Judge Rakoff of Terraform Paine wasn't thrilled with the settlement. He felt B of A was getting off lightly, true, but still signed off on the consent judgment, giving weight to the SEC's stance. As he put it, enforcing the law shouldn't mean imposing personal preferences. Wise words, right? Now, what if the trial court refuses to budge? No big deal. You're still in the same position and can pursue your private settlement agreement. It's like getting a free shot at the basket, a rare opportunity in life. Sure, it might take a little longer than a couple of days, but the payoff could be worth it. And there you have it. Pretty intriguing, isn't it? Why do I care? Well, even though this doesn't affect the long-term future of XRP, let's be real. XRP already has legal clarity. Plus, with America now leaning pro-crypto, thanks to Trump's win, that momentum isn't going anywhere anytime soon. America has made its decision. Crypto is here to stay. Even if the Democrats regain power down the line, you're not going to see a complete 180. It'll just be more years of building, more players entering the game, and more financial stakes solidifying the landscape. It's done. The US is pro-crypto, and that's not changing. But let me tell you why this really matters. We're still in a bull market. I know it might not feel like it with the sideways trends and scary dips, but I believe the bull run isn't over yet. If you're paying attention, moments of good news, whether directly relevant or just loosely connected, can spark emotional reactions in the market, and emotions drive action. Take XRP, for example. Even if some news doesn't actually impact it directly, the mere perception of it being positive can be enough to move the needle. Markets run on moments like this. Remember November 21st? Gary Gensler announced he was stepping down. We all saw it coming. It was practically inevitable. But the public confirmation? That was the spark. And the market, as always, reacted accordingly. The moment the news dropped, XRP's price took a nosedive. Does it really matter for XRP itself? Not at all. Will it matter for XRP in the long run? Nope, not even a little. XRP already has legal clarity, and while this news is Ripple specific, not XRP specific, I still think it has the potential to take off. Honestly, I'd be shocked if it didn't make some moves, even if just a little. Now, if we were deep in the final euphoric rush of alt season, this could be an even bigger trigger. That said, even if this drags on past the bull market, I still believe XRP has its moment in the sun. The thing is, any day now, you could wake up, check the charts, and see XRP's price exploding. Your first thought, what's the news? Most of the time, there won't be any, but right now, at this very moment, there might just be. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, so don't go buying or selling based on my opinions. That would be, well, let's just say, not the smartest move.